Okay, welcome to the Crow Discovery Project. This clip, I'm going to run what we see in a night in the time of year when, like clockwork, objects show up in front of the moon, and there's basically a 1 hour period. Coming in at the bottom, you're going to have to look very closely at some of these objects. It's going up towards the upper left top, and I'll give you a couple views on each of these objects. This was done over 2 hours on a single night, and we're going to culminate in a very good black haloed object. And here he comes across the center of the frame there. Now, these objects we check to see if they're satellites, and the truth is if you use stellarium and other things, you can see that on certain nights there should be a lot more satellites close to the moon. Truth is, catching a satellite transiting the moon is a very rare event, and catching one that you can actually ID and be reasonably sure you know what you're looking at is exceedingly rare. I've probably only done a handful, or certainly under 10 in all the time I've been doing this. And there he is in the middle of the frame. I know it's dark, but these objects with the full spectrum camera that are so tiny are difficult to see. We call them ants. When we film these in visible spectrum, they tend to look much more black if in fact these are the same objects we think they are. And some of these look like they're rotating a little bit, and they look closer to what you would expect a satellite to look like. Like this one, it looks like it's spinning a bit, almost like there's wings changing position there. Each of these that I'm showing you, and there were a couple that I left out because they were not in straight trajectories, which probably means like right up in the left corner there, that was absolutely a bird. These are all in very straight trajectories. So the first view you get is just a contrast adjusted full spectrum camera view. When you see the green, what I've done is inverted the color channel to get the opposite color of the object to try to bring it up so the object becomes a little more white. And there he goes across center frame, back down to the bottom. And again, that one looks like it might be spinning. And on this night, there were no satellites listed close to the moon. I mean, there may be a drifter here and there that comes reasonably close, but not close enough to even consider a transit. That's an easier one to see, and again, it looks like it might be spinning. Here comes the same object in inverted color channel. Now, what we find is, in the springtime and near eclipses, there are endless objects transiting the moon. And what's crazy about this is, if you hold your pinky at arm's length, you can cover the moon. It's a half a degree of sky. So all these objects are transiting that tiny little dot of sky. So what we're going to begin doing with the full spectrum camera is just choosing some areas that are not in the ecliptic or where the planet, the sun, the moon goes, and see if we see objects at this rate. If we did, that would mean the whole sky was probably much more full of objects than we think. But what I tend to believe is true is that these objects are in fact somehow associated with the moon, a lot of them, whether they be man-made mechanical things monitoring the moon or otherwise. And the last clip in this edit is going to demonstrate to you just there it is right there coming in, the variety of things that we film. I'm going to do an edit here in the reasonably near future that takes these black kind of haloed objects and breaks down, just a number of them that I've caught. Right here we're using the auto ISO to try to get a view beyond the moon, but we just couldn't see this particular object. We tried. Here he comes again at 50% speed, zoomed in a little bit more, 350, and we'll take a 600% view and then a real-time view. But these things do not look like anything that I've ever been shown or I've ever seen described or any satellite that I can look up. And the truth is we have a variety of these black haloed objects in a variety of sizes, which probably indicates when they're bigger, they're closer to me. Yet, what we see is the bigger ones are traveling slower. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, because something traveling slower, if we follow the rules we've been handed, should be further towards geosynchronous at 22,000 miles out, if that's even a possibility. Something traveling slow should be much further away from me. But what we see with these black haloed objects is the bigger ones are traveling slower. So it's kind of a conundrum. Is it closer to me, or is it further away and massive? I would tend to believe that it is closer to me than we think, and that it is actually not in an orbit that's making it go 17,000 miles or whatever we're told is low Earth orbit. But this object was the most interesting object of this night, and you could see the line of what we call ants going by, and this is kind of what we're faced with each night. At this time of year, at about 8:30 to 9:30, a steady line of things show up, and this can happen over months at a time. It has been happening ever since the lunar eclipse near the spring equinox. And actually at the spring equinox, right, a day or so before that, we saw the uptick in objects. So that's what's going on in the sky. We've had many, many days of cloudy, non-shootable skies, but we're getting cleared up now. So hopefully new footage soon. And there it is. Cheers.